I get a call. And it's someone in New York City, and they go like, hey, Kuda, you need to come for a meeting. There's this meeting that's happening, and you just need to listen to this conversation. We think you might be able to add value. So I was like, it doesn't hurt. Let me just go and talk and see what they have to say. So anyway, I go there and they tell me like, oh, there was a man who was going to San Francisco. And while he was on the plane, he read about a group of nuns that were being evicted in San Francisco. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, where is this going? Like, I'm trying to connect the dots. And they go like, the guy lands, he goes to the mission to help the nuns. And then, he realizes that they were a few months behind rent. So he covered their rent. He called a couple of his buddies. They pulled together about $1 million. They called the landlord. They figured out the solution for the nuns by taking care of their accommodation and putting an offer to the landlord. And then they realized that the nuns were baking cookies and selling the cookies at farmers markets. But they were using the proceeds from the sales not to look after themselves, but instead to support a soup kitchen at their mission, where they would be feeding hundreds of people every single day in San Francisco. So these nuns were super selfless. They were putting themselves after everybody else. And then the guy was like, wow, what if we take inspiration from the nuns? What if we then bring in a group of entrepreneurs, right? A couple of entrepreneurs who really know how to launch e-commerce based businesses, but have experience in social impact. Wouldn't that be nice? And then create a cookie company where we have a buy one, give one model. So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, it actually makes sense. And basically, this group had identified me as the perfect candidate to take this vision and actually turn it into a business. Me and my business partner, Brian Dinesco, because we had built that meal delivery business that I told you about. And I also had the experience of the mission-based business before. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, talk about having to make a tough decision, right? And as I was sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, I've learned so much in corporate America. I think the best use of my talents, my knowledge, and skills is to build this impact-based business where we can really now fight hunger in a delicious way, right? And I then go like, okay, so who's this gentleman who went out to meet the nuns? And they go, it's Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker. So like, I'm just like, what?
Didn't expect you to say that.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, the opportunity to work with Tony and build this, I'm in. So I quit my job and then partnered up with Tony Robbins and Michael Loeb. Michael Loeb is one of the guys who is behind Priceline.com, super successful billionaire. And I was like, you know what? This is literally a chance of a lifetime from both a professional and personal perspective. Personal being creating something that's meaningful to me, that makes a difference, where we can touch the millions of lives we spoke about, but professionally to work with people that I admired. And I felt like, hey, these are entrepreneurs that have really done some amazing stuff in their life. So it came timely, but it wouldn't have happened if those two dots didn't happen. If I didn't have the mission-based business, which didn't open the doors to the big Fortune 500 company, and the opportunity I got at this big Fortune 500 company to build a meal delivery business wouldn't have led to this one. So in life, sometimes we just focus on what we're doing in the moment, but sometimes we don't know how some of the actions are gonna affect our future, both positively and negatively. So I think you should always be paying attention to what you're doing now, because it can help you create or unlock opportunities that wouldn't be possible otherwise if you actually don't do it. So taking that risk as a college student in starting that, t-shirt company and, saying no to my friends to go out and party because I had to work has actually paid off. because it has led to so many things. So it's kind of like a domino effect where one thing knocked down and a whole host of other things came down with it. So that's the story of how Nonbelievable was started.
Oh, it's a great story.
They sold 2,100 boxes of Nonbelievable cookies. They provided 12,600 meals for the homeless.
And we're gonna change lives across the United States.